Hello, I'm ANSHU-SHARMA here. Welcome to you and my love to you. Today's topic is emotional integration. Why and what is it? Why should we do it? What is emotional integration and why it is important for us to integrate our emotions? Let us explore this topic a bit more in order to throw some light on it. Most people avoid facing their emotions, believing the emotions would go away with time or would bring chaos and disturbances in their life. So instead of acknowledging the emotions, they suppress them. We humans feel a number of emotions such as fear, anger, surprise, happiness, sadness, hatred, etc. Some of these emotions are positive and some are negative. Here we are dealing with negative emotions and how to clear them and how to emotionally integrate them. Emotions involve a complex psychological state in our body and in our mind. Emotions involve three components. They involve a personal experience, a bodily response and a behavioral response. So we experience something personally, then our body responds to it when the emotions arise, and then the emotions come into our behavior. So what is personal subjective experience, which is the first step? Experiencing emotions can be highly subjective. People experience mild irritation to full-blown anger to the same situation. At times, people do not react to major events, and at times people react to minor events and their reactions are explosive. So this is all subjective. How we respond to an emotional experience. Physiological and bodily responses also follow when the emotions arise in us. Emotion can cause a mild to strong body reactions. For instance, we feel our stomach lurching from anxiety, and sometimes we all have noticed when the fear arises in us, then our hearts palpitate. Emotions do affect our physiology. We can feel a range of body reactions. If emotions are not dealt with, then they can also translate into physical sickness and even diseases. Let's discuss the behavioral response. People's behavioral response to emotions varies. For example, some people run away when they are faced with a fearful situation, while some people fight it. For example, let's take an example. John grew up in a house with dogs, and Anita was bitten by a dog in her childhood. Now they are both grown up. They both experience different emotions when they see a dog. On seeing a dog, John wants to go and pet the dog because he has got good experience with the dogs. Anita shivers with fear and she wishes to run away. Some people remain very calm and controlled in the events of even major disasters, while there are others who cannot handle even a minor stress. Our previous experiences, emotions and reactions remain stored in our subconscious mind. When we are faced with similar situations, we access that behavior template which is stored in our subconscious mind. And then we react in similar ways. For instance, if a person learns that shouting gets the job done, then he will use more of the shouting. Same is the situation when we use more of complacency. When we figure out that doing nothing, we can pass the buck to others. So we start using our laziness. Sometimes we use our ignorance, suppression, greed, manipulation, lies, and stealing extra. So all these emotions, they are attached with our subconscious response, and when the similar emotions arise in our life, we respond in similar ways. We do it because it has worked for us in the past. There is an appropriate word to describe this. That appropriate word is called samskars in Sanskrit, which is a very appropriate word to describe deeply ingrained habits. When we behave in a certain way, it becomes our habit. And when the habit is used repeatedly, it becomes our samskar. So samskar is nothing but a deeply ingrained habit. It is like a groove which stays in our mind. The groove attracts more of similar situations in our life. So samskar make it easier for our conscious mind to access our past reactions at the time of need. The samskars do not differentiate whether the habit is good or bad. It is just a pattern of repeated behavior, a repeated habit. When the situation comes, the mere force of our habits make us behave in a certain way. When the situation is favorable, we feel elated. And if the situation is not favorable, then our reactions can cause serious injury to our mental and physical well-being. Our reactions can become the source of our misery. They can also become a source of our depressions, low energy, and loss of self-confidence. For example, when we are angry, we lose a lot of energy. But our reactions become impulsive. And in the similar situations, we become angry and the same response comes out without our conscious awareness. And we keep losing energy. We suppress our emotions, and when we cannot suppress our emotions anymore, we rebel. If we cannot rebel, then we go into depression. Deep down, we all know that suppression or explosions do not work for long. Any suppression or forceful, impulsive reaction, we lose energy. And we continue to lose energy, we fall sick. But that energy, if available to us, we can feel more alive and healthier. People experience emotions unconsciously, and they have no conscious control over them. When these emotions rise and fall, we become helpless. We feel unstable to control our emotions. It takes away the joy of living. The more at war we are with our feelings and emotions, less alive we feel. Mostly people fear facing emotions, believing their presumably perfect lives will be disturbed. Is there another way? Let's see. Is there a way so we can bring our emotions under our conscious control? We all believe that emotions cannot be controlled mainly because we lack the knowledge. If we have the knowledge, then consciously we can control our emotions. When we want to build a house, we draw plans and then we redraw the plans on a paper. Then what we do, we organize the workforce, we organize the material, and we organize the money. And then we start the actual construction of the house. This is a proven process. And in this proven process, there are steps to follow. And when we follow the steps, it gets easier for us to build anything. We cannot gather the material together before we even have drawn the plans on the paper. There is a similar process involved in emotional integration. People have done it and it has worked for them. Emotions cannot be seen by our senses, so most people assume it is out of our conscious control. Let us explore the process of emotional integration. Emotional integration involves these steps. The first step is awareness. We become aware that we are suffering and we are from a particular emotion. Then we acknowledge that emotion. After we have acknowledged this, we begin to analyze that emotion in case it is repeatedly bringing pain and suffering to us. We offer gratitude and then appropriately we respond, and lastly we integrate our emotion. Let us discuss all these processes of emotional integration step by step, taking by which we can recognize, deal with our emotions, and also free ourselves. The first step is emotional awareness. We become aware of our emotions. When the issues come to our lives, we start studying them. Say our emotional has come into my awareness. It does not matter how it came and when it came. It would have been my son making a small mistake and I overreacted. My boss says something and take it out on my wife. I overstress and become defensive in justifying my point of view. I know the matter is important to me, but I do not speak out in certain situations. So these are various situations we are emotionally acting out, reacting out in a particular manner. In certain situations, an incident happens on the road or somewhere else, but I panic in fear. So some emotion is repeatedly coming into our awareness, whether it is fear, it is anger, anxiety, or whatever. Whatever the trigger may be, an issue has come into my awareness, and somehow it is leaving me feeling negative emotions. I am feeling out of control. When similar situations arise, I find myself acting in ways that makes me feel angry. Sometimes I feel depressed and it is constantly happening, repeatedly happening. I feel guilty, I feel resentful or fearful, whatever. Some people at this stage do positive affirmations, hoping negative emotions will go away. And sometimes, depends on the severity of the emotions you are experiencing, they do go away. But with some lasting emotions, affirmations do not work. Unless we consciously process, repeating positive affirmation does not produce lasting effects. Awareness of one's emotions is a good start. And then we start paying attention. That is our next step. Only then we can hope to integrate them. So unless we are aware of a particular emotion which is repeatedly coming into our awareness, we cannot follow the next step. Acknowledgement is the second step. Persistent negative emotions need our attention. They have to be addressed. They cannot be shoved under the carpet. For they may lie there for some time, but eventually they pop up again. An issue can trigger at any time. Emotional integration requires emotional honesty. We cannot integrate a feeling that we refuse to acknowledge. The only reason we resist acknowledging is because we feel, because the meaning associated with that emotion is dangerous or threatening to face, or we will come into fear again, or the emotion will escalate. So the greatest obstacle to emotional honesty is fear. We become fearful. For example, Geeta was unable to confront her older sister, who was constantly stealing her things out of fear. She was fearful of the backlash and lacked confidence to stand against her older sister. So basically, she lacked confidence, and due to fear, she stayed in that position where her older sister was doing something and she was not able to confront her. She was not standing against the bullying she was undergoing. When we hide from our feelings, we go into pretend mode. We are faking it, and we are living a lie. The longer we deny the truth, harder it becomes for us to pretend. What is happening within is we are at war with ourselves. We lose our vitality and joy in living. A house divided against itself cannot stand. The only solution is to acknowledge the truth. When we embrace the truth, no matter how painful it may be, we can hope to find some peace and solution. So we start acknowledging our emotions. For example, if the emotion is anger, we try to say to ourselves, I feel angry, or there is anger in me. This is acknowledgement. We can either give our emotion a name, like anger we can say. Basically they are physiological responses. Or we can accept whatever mental image is being presented to us, such as a red burning ball or a raging bull or whatever. We accept this mental presentation along with the emotions we are feeling. We also accept how the emotion is making us feel and why we are behaving in a certain way. For instance, we can acknowledge I shout and I become abusive when I am angry. What behavior I do? I close my doors and I become a recluse. Or I feel miserable. I do not wish to eat anything when I am feeling angry. Or when I am feeling angry, I gorge on the sweets. Or when I feel angry, my body trembles. My legs shake. And I want to run away from the situation. Our inner child, memories, and each cell in our body longs to get our attention. So we are getting all these physiological symptoms about the emotion, and we wish those symptoms to be addressed. By whom? By us. Our emotions scream aloud to communicate to us only if we take a pause from our so-called busy lives and listen to our emotions, to our body, and pay attention to what is happening within. So these are the two ways we start with. Emotion has come into our awareness and we start acknowledging the emotions. We start noticing the physical symptoms associated with that particular emotion and the behavior response we are giving. What exactly we are doing. We just do these two things for a length of time. So this is part 1. This is the end of part 1 of the 2-part series on emotional integration. Thanks for listening. Lots of love and light to you. Till we meet again with part 2. Take care. Bye.